Max the Hero, a man and dog's unbreakable bond. Once upon a time, in a quaint village surrounded by dense forests and rolling hills, there lived a man named Thomas. He was a quiet, hard-working man who lived alone in a small cottage at the edge of the village. Though his farm was thriving, Thomas often found himself lonely. His family had long since passed, and his friends had moved away, leaving him to keep to himself. The only constant in his life was his loyal dog, Max. Max was a large, shaggy dog with a mix of golden and white fur. He had big, warm eyes that radiated kindness and a playful spirit that kept Thomas from feeling too lonely. Thomas had adopted Max from a shelter when he was just a puppy, and the two had quickly formed an unbreakable bond. Max followed Thomas everywhere, from tending the fields to sitting by the fireplace at night. They shared everything, and over time, Max became not only a pet, but a true companion. One crisp winter evening, with the first heavy snowfall of the season blanketing the village, Thomas and Max set out for their evening walk. The air was sharp and the world seemed still, save for the soft crunch of snow beneath their feet. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the trees stood tall and silent, their branches weighed down by the fresh snow. It was a peaceful, almost magical sight. Suddenly, a strange sound broke the silence, distant, faint, but unmistakably the sound of someone calling for help. Max's ears perked up, and before Thomas could even react, the dog darted off into the woods, following the cry. "Max!" Thomas shouted, running after him, but Max was already out of sight, determined to help whoever was in trouble. Thomas pushed through the thickening snow, his heart pounding. The wind picked up, making it harder to see, but he knew he had to follow his dog. Max always knew when someone needed help. The cry grew louder as Thomas moved deeper into the woods, and soon, through the trees, he spotted Max. The dog was standing next to a young boy, no older than 12, who was trembling and shivering. The boy looked lost, his face pale from the cold, his clothes soaked from the snow. His eyes filled with relief upon seeing Max, who had instinctively stayed close to him. "Don't worry, we'll get you back," Thomas said softly, kneeling beside the boy and wrapping him in his own coat. The boy could hardly speak, his teeth chattering from the cold, but he nodded weakly. He had wandered too far into the forest and had lost his way, unsure how to return home. Max, sensing the urgency of the situation, began to walk in a slow, steady pace, glancing back at Thomas as if to say, "Follow me." Thomas, still holding the boy close, followed Max's lead. The dog seemed to know exactly where to go, navigating through the trees with ease. He trotted ahead, occasionally looking back to make sure Thomas and the boy were safe. As they trekked through the forest, the snowstorm intensified and the wind howled through the trees. But Max remained focused, leading them without hesitation. Thomas, too, felt a sense of trust in his dog. He couldn't explain it, but Max's presence gave him confidence. With the boy wrapped up and Max guiding the way, they pressed on, their steps steady despite the storm. Finally, after what felt like hours, the forest began to thin, and the lights of the village appeared in the distance. The snowstorm started to subside, and the full moon emerged from behind the clouds, casting a soft glow over the landscape. The boy's family had been out looking for him, and when they saw him in the distance, they rushed to him, hugging him tightly and thanking Thomas and Max for bringing him home. The villagers were amazed when they heard the story of Max's heroic actions. They praised the dog for his instincts and bravery. Word spread quickly that Max had saved the boy, and from that day forward, he was no longer just Thomas's loyal companion. He was the village's hero. But to Thomas, Max remained the same. His dog was more than just a pet or a hero, he was family. They continued to live their simple, quiet life together, side by side. Max's loyalty was unwavering, and his bond with Thomas was stronger than anything else in the world. The two had proven that sometimes a simple act of kindness could change everything. And so Thomas and Max lived on, inseparable and content, knowing that no matter what the world threw at them, they would always have each other. This expanded version dives deeper into the emotions and the relationship between Thomas and Max, building more suspense and highlighting the heroism of the dog. It also emphasizes the sense of community in the village and how Max's actions made him a beloved figure,